um, extracurricular, rounding yourself out for your application series, kind of just talking about what you should and should not do, how to get involved, how to make yourself the best applicant you can be, so you ensure that dental school acceptance. So without further ado, we're going to go to the little PowerPoint I made. To start off, we have boost your resume, summer opportunities, and extracurriculars. So this is kind of the bulk of the application. It's talking about what you do, really showing dental schools why you should be accepted and why you're the best candidate that you are. So to start, the discounts, as always, as we have done for every week so far, for 10% off, you can use the code GETITNOW10 right there listed, and stay tuned for the end of this video. We're going to have a 50% off winner announced at the end.
The SN1 reaction is the
In keyholes or apertures, you're given an object.
Figure out the molar mass of it. So we were given the mass, and you get.
Okay, so to start off, I just wanted to preface all of this by saying this is arguably the extracurriculars experience section of your application is arguably one of the most important parts in your application cycle and in your entire application. With that being said, the biggest piece of advice I have is just to explore your passions and find them. Do what you love to do. Don't try to fit into a mold of what you think a person applying should be doing or what you think a pre-dental student needs to do to get into school. Ultimately, this is your experience, this is your application, and you need to be highlighting what you think is, or what you do and what you do best, and why you love what you do. With that being said, be multifaceted. So if you're a gung-ho researcher, you love research to the death, it's your favorite thing, be multifaceted and have extracurriculars, have other volunteering, show different sides of yourself. Don't just laser focus academia and research. That's not going to give you a holistic picture of yourself, and it's not going to show off really truly who you are and how you are going to be as a practitioner. Next is never settle. So what I mean by that is I was, to the time, into even today, but when I was going through the application process, every year I was reevaluating what I was doing, what I was involved in, and I figured out more and more ways to get involved, to build my resume. I was never settled with, I volunteer at 2 places and I've worked here. I was always trying to find what I could do better and what else I could get involved in, how I could grow myself and my passions. So I think that never settling, especially in your undergrad career before you're applying, is really important to getting as many opportunities as you can in, because you ultimately want to show off a bunch of different things and be able to talk about different things and why you like them, why you don't, and just have more depth, have more experiences to pull out of your pocket and more depth into yourself than the surface level. I just like this one thing. So that kind of goes in the next thing. Always look for new experiences and career growth opportunities. Never settle in what you have done and what you are doing currently. Always look for ways to be your best self. And then lastly, I wanted to really highlight this part of the talk before I go into suggestions and ways to get involved and ways to better boost yourself. Is that there is no right or wrong activity, and there's no right or wrong combination of activities. I'm going to talk about some things that I've done. I'm going to talk about things that I've never done, and I still got into dental school. So with that being said, I don't think that you should, A, check all the boxes just because they're boxes, or B, only check a few of them because you think that you've reached your maximum. You want to make sure that you're doing the best you can and you're getting as involved and you're building yourself as much as you can. But with that being said, don't ever think that it's a script that you need to follow to get in. You should fully, like I said from the beginning, find your passions and go and explore them. Find your passions and grow with them. So figure out what you love to do and do more of it, and find other ways to keep exploring that. Don't just do something that's because someone told you that they got into dental school by doing X, Y, or Z. So the first thing I want to talk about is shadowing, and I think that this kind of is intuitive when you think about like an extracurricular activity that you should do to apply to dental school. Everyone's first thought is normally shadowing, and I think the most important thing about shadowing isn't necessarily that, you know, a lot of schools require it or they really highly recommend it or you have to have X amount of hours or something. I think shadowing really helps you decide if this is the career path for you. I think that it lets you be behind the show. So everyone hopefully goes to the dentist here and had been to the dentist before they decided they want to go to dental school. And so you've been on the patient side of that perspective of the interaction, but we've never been on the provider side of the interaction. And so I think that shadowing is a really cool opportunity that allows you to see what it's like to really do the profession, right? Like dental school is a lot of money, a lot of years, and a lot of time, and a lot of struggle. So if you're just doing it for, I don't know, the money reasons or whatever, and then you get into the shadowing and you're like, actually, I really don't like talking to people. I really don't like what they're doing. It seems boring, whatever. Shadowing's a really great place to start in figuring that out, that you actually, maybe this isn't the right career path for you. Maybe you want something more less human interaction, more research based, or I don't know. There's 100 different other ways to get involved in health and healthcare. And shadowing really allows you to see if dentistry is truly the path for you. And it does that before you apply, so you save a lot of money and a lot of time. So I think that's a really important thing to highlight. Not only does it look really good for schools, and a lot of schools require it, is that it does help you a lot. But ultimately, to dental schools, when you're applying, shadowing shows a commitment and dedication to the field. So by this I mean, if you one-off shadow a guy, your general dentist, for one day, that's kind of like, that's not what I'm talking about when I say that this shows commitment and dedication. Commitment and dedication is, I shadowed 4 different dentists and 4 different specialties for a month and a half each, and this is what I learned here, this is what I learned here. You're really trying to understand, like, do as much as you can legally in the field and understand what the field's about before you even get to dental school. And so that's what I mean by it shows commitment and dedication. So they know that you're in it for the right reasons and you're in it for the long run, and you know what it's like on the other side of dental school, so they want to bring you on board as well. It also gives you things to talk about in the interview. So I think I probably had, out of my however many interviews, I think I probably had only one not ask me about my shadowing experience. One school, I mean, not like each school has a few interviews, but one school, I think only one of them out of the like handful of interviews I got, like 6 interviews, didn't ask me about my shadowing. So it does give you something to talk about the interview. And going off that, shadow different dentists, different specialties, and take note of what you do and don't like. Each dentist kind of operates in a different manner, and they grow into their own and differently. So they have different ways that they run their practice. Some may share a practice, some may own their own, some may have a bunch of assistants, some may have 1, some may have 12 hygienists, some may have 2 hygienists. Some practices might be a single office, some might be an open floor plan. Everything is very, very unique in dentistry. And so being able to talk about, I didn't like the way he conducted himself in whatever, or I didn't like that she had this done with her practice, or I loved this about this specialty, really gives you stuff to talk about. It gives you reasons that it gives you an opinion. Instead of just like saying something that you thought you knew, it actually gives you like some substantial evidence to base your claims off of.
Succeed on your dental admission test, study less, and score higher. Check Crack the DAT now at crackdat.com.
So next is volunteering. So volunteering is also super vitally important to just being a great dentist, I would say. And it really shows you, it showed me at least, a lot of different facets of life and facets of community life and people of those in vulnerable populations or those in need. Ultimately, it's all building your empathy. It's allowing you to show empathy, work on showing empathy, work on being a better listener, work on just improving your empathetic side to yourself. It also exposes yourself, like I kind of talked about earlier, to those that are vulnerable and in need, and being able to be a point person for helping others. So that's a lot of what dentistry is helping those in need and caring for the vulnerable. And volunteering in a lot of ways does that, because you're helping for no profit, for just out of the goodness of your heart. You're giving back to those who need help. And it really allows you to see kind of what the field, like in a really bare bones basis, is off of. Also, I wanted to point this out, do different seemingly unrelated activities. So what I mean by this is like volunteering at a soup kitchen, or volunteering at a homeless shelter, or volunteering at an animal shelter is equivalent to volunteering at like a dental mobile truck or a dental clinic or a whatever. You don't need to do everything that you do in the eyes of dentistry, because ultimately that's not, there's very limited volunteering that you can do within dentistry unless you're a practitioner. So being able to just do every volunteering and grow yourself is really important to seeing other sides of yourself, and figuring out why you like or don't like helping others, or what makes you happy ultimately, what makes you internally tick. Also, volunteer as often and frequently as you can. Continue to do it for an extended period of time. So what I mean by this is I volunteered at like maybe collectively 7 different organizations, and as soon as I would start to kind of peel off or not love one volunteering experience that I've done, I would start a new one. And I'd always do it for like at least a year, just because being able to volunteer is awesome, and doing it one-off is very important, but it doesn't show any sort of commitment or any sort of dedication and serving to others. It kind of just shows that you checked a box to dental school if you have a bunch of volunteering experiences that are like, oh, I did this for a weekend, or oh, I did this for one day in my sophomore year. That's not really giving back and helping others. That's kind of just checking a box of, oh, they wanted volunteering hours, and here's 5 hours that I did on a Saturday. So that's what I'm saying, is that do it for an extended period of time, and do it as often and frequently as you can. So if you have 12 hours a week that you identify as free time, maybe like use 6 of that to volunteer and get involved in local aid resources or shops or whatever is going on in your community, to give back and get to know your community around you and help those around you. So musical instruments. So this kind of is a really interesting one. I was told in my dentistry career that playing a musical instrument is a huge plus, that it's this awesome thing and everyone should play a musical instrument. And I genuinely tried. I played clarinet in middle school, and then I took piano lessons, and I put the effort forth there, and I was really bad at every musical instrument. I don't have a good tone, a good perception of tone, or a good ear for anything. So what I thought were fine notes were apparently not fine, and the musically, all music instruments, I'm just not musically inclined, and I was kind of bummed by that, because when I had people tell me that playing a musical instrument is really awesome for your manual dexterity and to really show that you have skills with your hands to dental schools, I was bummed, because I was like, I have hand skills and I want to show them am working on my manual dexterity, but I am really bad at musical instruments. Kind of frustrated me, but with that being said, I still got in dental school and I still had a successful application process, so you don't need to play an instrument to get in. But I have been told from others that playing an instrument is an awesome way to show that you have really good manual dexterity. Also, it shows commitment. I have a friend who played in orchestra in undergrad, and she had practiced like 3 times a week for like 2 hours. She had rehearsals that were all days on Saturdays and long concerts, and it was a big commitment, honestly. And dental schools also like to see that you're committed to something and that you are able to juggle life with academics and also other stuff, personal and extracurricular. So it can be any instrument, and really most instruments, and it just has a lot of pluses to add to your application. But like I said, it's not a necessary thing. I cannot play any sort of instrument, and I did fine. So this is just something to note, but it's not an end-all be-all. Kind of similar to how I'm going to talk about for the rest of the time. So next is research. So research is a kind of a hot and button topic with regards to dental school and dentistry and also medicine. So what I was told is do research. And in the beginning I was like, I don't like research. I don't like sitting in a lab by myself, doing a bunch of experiments for days on end, not having human interaction. And so I was kind of turned off. I wasn't really about it, but I was like, you know what? Everyone keeps telling me to do research. I'll do it. So sophomore year, I decided to get involved in some research. And what I came to have a perspective on research of at the end of getting involved was that research is the reason that dentistry and things in life in general continue to evolve and advance and get better. So being able to have that perspective and getting your hands dirty and understanding how much effort and how awesome it is to have research as an evolving field and have it really take everything to the next level is a really cool perspective, and I think really needed to truly understand also in a holistic way how dentistry and oral health and health in general and population health all really interconnect. So I think if you look at it that way, I would encourage everyone to do research. But with that being said, again, similar to the musical instrument, if you are dead set on not getting involved in research, or you just don't have the research opportunities available to you, then it's not going to be I'm not going to get into dental school because I wasn't involved in research. But I'm just adding that perspective that I put in there because I think it is a cool perspective that does kind of incite, at least for me, inspired me to get involved in something I didn't think I was going to get involved in. But with that being said, if research isn't your passion, it's not your passion. You don't need to become this massive, world-changing researcher because someone told you that dental schools or X dental school likes to see that you are involved in research. But do it and be able to explain why you do or do not like it. That's also another key in a lot of these experiences that we're talking about, these extracurriculars, is that be able to speak of that experience at the end of it. If you're going to list it on your application, be able to talk about it. So if you did research for a summer and you absolutely hated it, kind of write down those reasons why you hated it and talk about those and use that as an experience to kind of reformulate why you think of a certain way or why you do or do not like a certain thing, or what kind of use it as a positive is what I learned from this and how I grew from this. Also, that kind of goes to this, is use it as an experience to advance yourself and your knowledge. Don't check the box. So even if you did hate it, kind of reframe why you hated it into, okay, I learned that I love people and I want to be around people. And I also learned how important it is, or how tedious it is, and how thankful I am for those in that field. And it really proved to me that I want to be in a field where I'm interacting with people on a daily basis. Like something like that, where you take the negative that you're viewing something as and turn it into a positive. Again, just wanted to close off with definitely not necessary as well. I did know tons of people who never did research in undergrad and who got into awesome dental schools. So not needed, but it is something to consider as well.
When I took the reading comprehension test the first time, I got it 19, 21, and then a 23. And that was all because of Crack the DAT. They have content on all 4 topics of the DAT, and they also have uploaded videos about every single subject that you can think of. So say that you're studying organic chemistry, or you're taking the class in college right now, they'll have videos that will run you through every single mechanism of organic chemistry. The best part of Crack the DAT is that they've now created an app that allows you to access all that information on your phone. You can pull up the PAT section of the test and go through some questions while you're walking around.
So get a job. So I love this part of applying to dental school. So I feel like in high school when we were applying to college or to undergrad, it was slightly different because jobs weren't really ever highlighted. It was kind of like, what did you do in your high school career? Here, having a job is awesome. And this will obviously, so get a job differs from a volunteering position because it's a paid position. I think some people get a little confused about that. So you can have a job that's also kind of volunteering, if that makes any sense. Like, you could be working at a place where others volunteer, or you could be volunteering at a place where others work. So that's just kind of where I differentiate job from volunteering. But having a job, having multiple jobs, having a job shows dental schools your commitment, your reliability, your accountability. It shows your ability to juggle multiple involvements at once. So it shows that you're able to juggle your personal life with your academic life, with your work life. And every single job that you are going to hypothetically have is giving you a skill that you can apply to dentistry. So keep your mind open, and don't only, like I said from the beginning also with like volunteering, don't only go for those jobs that are like dental assistants or front desk workers where you're only working for dental. Work for something else. I worked for a tutoring company, and I was a supervisor for like intramural sports. Those are, tutoring kind of has a closer connection, but intramural sports, you would think, oh, that doesn't really fully relate. But it was one of my most rewarding experiences, and one that I talked about frequently in all my interviews. So every job, every leadership position that you have, and a job ultimately is a leadership position if you become a manager, or even it shows your ability to work within a team and be a team player. Because ultimately, you will be a team player in your office. You will be a leader in your office. So learning how to effectively work with others and efficiently work with them is a vital role in being an awesome dentist. So having those experiences in undergrad and being able to highlight them in your application is also really important. So this is a good one. So getting involved in extracurriculars you enjoy. So kind of what I've been mentioning so far has all been how to get involved in research or get a job or an extracurricular. One thing I want to really highlight in this slide is that you need to be prioritizing what you enjoy doing. So with that being said, don't write any extracurricular off because you think it won't look good, quote unquote. You're not checking a box. There's no, like I said from the beginning, right or wrong answer on what you're doing to shape yourself. There's no golden ticket to get in. There's no, you should do this, not that. Just do what you enjoy, because ultimately you're gonna be the happiest. You're gonna be the most enthusiastic to talk about the things you like doing than the things that you thought you had to do. And you want to show the admission team your passion. You don't want to show them kind of that you are able to check boxes. You want to be excited about what you talk about. You want to show them your passion, show them that you are driven and you want to pursue this, and you really have a desire and a dream. They like to see that kind of stuff. So getting involved in stuff that you love is actually super important. It's not all about checking boxes and being involved in dentistry related things because you think that the admissions team or committee would like to see that out of you. And then kind of I mentioned this before too, but everything you do does not need to be healthcare related or dentistry related. You can do a million other things that you're passionate about, and you can always kind of relate back to dentistry if you think about it in the right way. So don't think that you have to be the president of your pre-dent club and the leader of Smiles for Smiles and only involved in this and that and all that. You can be involved in whatever you want, and you can be a leader of whatever club you are in or anything like that. And so get involved in what you want to do. So join clubs, join groups, join associations that you enjoy and that make you happy and that surround you with people who lift you up and make you feel good and something that you really enjoy doing. And then ultimately, my last point is that you can be a leader in anything you do. And being a leader is related to dentistry. So if you can be a leader, that's already your connection. And you don't have to have any further connection than that. As long as you're passionate and that you are able to command those around you, then that's a golden ticket to having an awesome extracurricular experience in your repertoire.
I really do think that Crack the DAT could be a great additional resource for you. I know for me, I saw the most improvement in my studying the more practice tests I did. Crack the DAT has 10 full practice tests for every single section. They also have videos to help you learn. All of the questions have detailed explanations for why they're wrong, and so you can kind of learn from your mistakes and build from there. Again, I do think that's how I saw the biggest jump in my score throughout my studying. So the more practice tests you have, the better. These are super similar to the difficulty level of the DAT. It's the exact same look and feel, the same features of crossing out and highlighting and everything. I've known a lot of my friends who've cracked the DAT and seen the biggest jumps in their scores for the PAT section and the reading section, but I've looked through all of their content and I think it's great for all the sections of the DAT, but especially if you are struggling getting your reading scores up or your PAT scores, I really do think Crack the DAT would be a great resource for you to use for more practice questions and more tests to get that timing down, get your speed up. Speed is huge for reading and PAT.
Hundreds, a ton of resources that will help you prepare for the DAT.
So play sport. So I kind of wanted to conclude on this one. Playing a sport is one of the greatest things you can do related to dentistry, which seems kind of counterintuitive, but if you play a college level sport, it shows commitment, it shows teamwork, it shows dedication, it shows your extreme ability to juggle multiple demanding facets, which would be your academia, your prereqs, also with your D1, your D2, your D3 competitive sport life. But with that being said, intramural sports and club sports showed all of those things just as much as your D1, your D2, D3 sports. So don't be discouraged that, because I know a lot of people talk, I mean, at least in my life, a lot of people have talked about how great it is to be a college athlete when you're applying to med school, dental school, PA school, whatever, because they really show how, or even jobs, they really show how committed you are and how hardworking you are. But club sports and intramural sports are just as important. It shows your ability to work with a team, your competition. It shows your support and your drive and your leadership. Like I said, you can be a leader. You can be a leader anywhere, and as long as you're a leader, that's an awesome thing to highlight on your dental school application. So get involved. If you love sports, play sports, and don't let it discourage you that you're playing a sport and you're not doing something like related to your career, because ultimately playing that sport is probably related to your career in some way. When you're learning how to communicate effectively with the team, learning how to lead people, learning how to inspire people, learning how to drive people, all of that is very important when you relate to moving to the field. So that's it for this week. Here are the discounts to Crack the DAT. So as always, it's 10% off, and the code this week is GetItNow10. And then the winner in the past weeks as well, we're going to announce, we'll DM you that you won. And so it was such a good time. Feel free to keep asking your questions. We will be responding on this page as they come up, or we'll DM you if it's a little more sensitive, but feel free to ask questions and DM. And it's been such a fun journey in this podcast series for the summer. Hopefully you guys learned a few tips and you got some tricks. And I gave you some lasting advice that you can carry forward and with you as you continue to aspire to become awesome dentists. I'm excited to see where each of you guys go and where the future takes us. So thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you for all your views and questions and thoughtfulness throughout this summer podcast series. So signing off one last time. Bye, guys.